So we got the organizer of a luncheon will select exactly 5 foods to be served from among exactly 8 foods. In-out game, right? All in-out games, I tend to gravitate towards this because I'm going to bake in the rules and it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense to you perfectly, that's okay. Like, we're here to give you a tool that you can put into your toolbox and bring out at appropriate times. So we got 2 desserts, F and G. We got 3 main courses, N, O, and P, and 3 side dishes, T, V, and W. Only F, N, and T are hot foods. So I'm gonna just put like a little subscript H next to those for that purpose. Now we have the following requirements will be satisfied. We have at least 1 dessert, 1 main course, and 1 side dish must be selected. So I know that I have to have 5, and I know that I have to have 1 dessert, 1 main, and 1 side. The other 2, I don't know what they're going to be yet, and that's okay. But I know that I have to have at least 1 of each. Then they have at least 1 hot food must be selected. Okay, so I'll deal with that in a little bit. If either P or W, must be both. If G is selected, O must be selected. If N is selected, V cannot be selected. Okay, so we got a couple of conditionals here, which again, I always like to point to. Circle slashing works for this. Conditionals, you either have the conditional and the rule applies, you have the sufficient condition and the rule applies, or you don't have the sufficient condition and it doesn't matter. The rule doesn't matter anymore. So for those of y'all, what rule do you want to start with here for making worlds?
Since there's 3 out, I would go with P and W because when they're out, that takes up like most of the outs.
Yes, absolutely. And Emily agrees with you. Emily. We got Emily and Emily are in agreement with the PW. And it's exactly right, Miss Emily, who just was speaking. The reason why I would start with PW as well is because either both of them are in or both of them are out, and then I'm occupying 2 out of my 3 out slots, right? With in-out games, it is often beneficial to keep in mind how many things can be out, because if you figure who is out, everyone else has to be in, okay? So if PW are both out, then I only have room for 1 more thing that doesn't go. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to give myself a little bit of space so that I can further split this world up here in a little bit. And I'm going to move down here with my other world. And first thing that I'm doing is I'm copying everything and then I apply the rule, okay? So I either have P and W or I don't have either of them. Oops. And so now P and W are both out over here. Now, which one of these worlds do you want to start working on? Just as food for thought. Which one do you think that we're closer to a solution on?
I would say the top one.
The top one? Why do you think the top one? Give me a justification for the top one, Carly.
Well, because I read the other rule that says that if G is selected, O must be selected, which means that it'll make it easier because I can't have more than 3 out So it would narrow it down for me. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that there's, I mean, like you can do a lot still here with this, but I'm going to point you towards what some of your other classmates were saying in that the bottom one, because if you look at, yes, exactly, Matthew, great point. If N is selected, V cannot be selected. So what that means is like, hey, if I have N, I can't have V. And that also means if I have V, I can't have N. That's the contrapositive, right? One of them always has to be out. And so now I can actually put that here in the out group for my upper world. Like one of my upper groups is satisfied, but the other one is also. And now I have 3 people out. And so everyone else has to come in. Right? I have 3 people out. I have to have 5 foods. So if 3 people are out, everyone else has to come in. And so the only sort of things that I have to think about here are whether N is in or V is in. But that means that F is in. That means that G is in. That means that O is in. That means that T is in. I've satisfied my hot food thing twice because both F and T have to be in. And then my last thing is going to be one of either N or V. And then the flip-flop VN, one of them is going to be out. Okay? G is a dessert, N is a meal, and V is a side. And so this is that entire world where PW is out. I know everything but NV. And if you really wanted to, you could split this again. I just don't think it's necessary, right? Like we can keep that little bit in our heads. We're an intermediate LG, right? We're tackling some more conciseness. That's right. Okay, so we've now satisfied the world where PW is out. Now we have the world where PW is in. We know one of NV is going to be out for sure. Both of them could be. But like, how are we going to tackle this world up here? What do we got left? We got if G is selected, then O, or if N is selected, then V. Which one do you want to, which one, who wants to volunteer, or which one of those we're going to tackle first?
GO, because again, it would fill in the out group, no?
Yeah, it could start to, yeah, for sure. Like, and so to Carly, this was kind of like the circle slashy type stuff. We did it once already, but I'm just going to kind of go through this real quick. So I copy down all the things. Then I also copy down P and W because that's the world that we're in, right? Now I apply the rule. Either G is selected or G is not selected. Circle slash, right? And so in this world over here, I still have P and W. In this top one, I now have G. G means I have O. Okay, that's a meal. Okay, now what? Well, the things that I have left, I could put F. I have this NV. I could have T. So there's a bit of flexibility right here with who ends up being the last person. I know that I can't have both NV because it's not possible even. And so there's going to be a lot of people that fill in this out group over here, but it could be, oh, hold on a second.
The hot foods, you can't do
Hot foods, right? So we don't have any hot food yet. And so actually, V is for sure gonna be out here. There's no way that V can be in. Goodbye. So I have to have either F or N or T. And I don't care which one of them. Doesn't matter. I just got to satisfy that hot food. This is my hot food going right here. Okay. And just for my clarity, I would probably put like D, M, and S, just so that I can sort of keep track of what those things are relative to what they are. Again, a little bit of flexibility here, but I feel like that's okay, right? I've figured out 4 for sure. Having flexibility in 1 between the hot foods, awesome. Okay, next one down. G is out. If G is out, who has to be in?
F.
F, yes. Awesome. Thank you, James. F has to be in. And you will think about, like, in this world, F will always be in now, and we've always satisfied our hot food need. And so the only one where we had to, like, worry about hot foods was this top one. And now we've satisfied the rule everywhere. Okay, so F has to be in. We have FPW. Okay, we know that for sure one of N or V is gonna be out.
And also G goes in the out spot.
Yep, G's out. So how do we get this a little bit more final? I think we can do it in one more split. Any thoughts? Come on now. Think about it. What rules have we, what rules are we still working on? We don't have the G left anymore. Someone just unmuted. Come on, be brave.
Is it whether O is out or
I don't think we want to worry about O. I think we should worry about N and V. Either one of them is in or they're both out.
I'm sorry, why are we not arching those considering we have all of our requirements met?
Talking about N, V?
Right, so you can have one or both out, and then you have T left, and what was the other one? I'm saying, so you can arch them rather than having to fill out worlds separately.
I wanted to be a little bit less like thinking about it, because either, just for the sake of it, because if I have N, one of N or V in, that means I have O or T in, one of them. And then when I have both of them out, I definitely have O and T. For me, it's just a little bit more clear if I separate that into one thing. Does that make sense? O has to be in because NV. Yeah. Possible. Yep. So I'm going to copy this one more time. NOPTVW. Circle my P. I'm going to circle my W. And for me, I think this makes a little bit of sense to do, is either I have one of NV or both of them. And so in this one, if both of them are out, then I have, this is an M and this is an S. This one is either M or S. And then this one is O or T, which is either M or S. Does that make sense? What do we think about this? How do we feel? 4 worlds. And yeah, I think you could do it without this last split. But for me, it's a little less confusing, and I'm trying not to think too hard when I do the logic games. Let's see. I got a question. I think I found another inference. If we can make a GO. Felisa, I'm not quite understanding what you're saying. You're saying like either if we have G, then we have O. If we don't have G, we have F.
Yeah, that was basically it.
Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, I that's 100% true. It's not quite because of the like if we have O, then we have F situation, because we don't have to have we don't have to have F up in this top world, and we do for sure have O.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay. How do we feel about this? For our circle and slash, we'll say newborns. For our circle and slash newborns, how do we feel about doing this? It makes sense, right? Like, I'm not doing this like if one thing then another thing. I'm building it in.